everyone, and welcome to the People Pleaser podcast. It's Corie, and I think today I want to set the stage. It's like 7:30 in the morning. I'm sitting on the couch, just had my coffee, did a little reading, and the mornings tend to be when I'm the most reflective, when I'm the most in my feels. And it's actually a really productive time for me, like energetically. It's a time where I can set some intentions. I can get aligned with like where I'm at, body, brain, emotions. I also know that it can be a time where my inner critic can show up, but it is typically in a productive way. It's in a gentle way. I think my energy is very gentle in the morning, and I think that has a lot to do with just like cortisol levels. It's early. I'm in the comfort of my own home, surrounded by those creature comforts like books and journals and coffee. And I do want to just meet with you in this energy and start the conversation from this place. Launching this podcast has been the ultimate test to my people pleasing. It felt really exciting. I felt really rooted in why I want to have these conversations and put them out on a public platform. But I would be lying, bold-faced lying, if I said that it was like this incredible test to my people pleasing, to produce something and put it out there and have it kind of be at this stage a one-way conversation, like just putting information out there. I really have surrendered to the fact that it's not a conversation that is necessarily like coming back right away. So I put it out there, and then people take that in however it is that they take it in that day. And it doesn't give me the opportunity to like over explain myself. Like if someone were to be offended, if I maybe wasn't clear, or things may have been misconstrued or misunderstood, if I maybe didn't complete a thought and left things unsaid, I have surrendered that. I have had to say, well, that is just out in the universe, and I have to trust that I am okay with that, and that folks listening are okay with that, and they are going to do with that what they need to do. So, I guess this really is illuminating or highlighting a specific pattern of mine where I so desperately want to be understood. I so desperately want people to understand my intentions and understand where I'm coming from. And if I need to like have a follow-up paragraph of like, but this is what I meant and this is where I'm coming from, like I do have those tendencies. And there's a real power to like challenging myself in this way and just being like leaving it up to the universe, leaving it up to God, just putting it out there, and I guess just seeing what comes back. And I do want to really build up my strength, my resilience, my capacity to trust myself and trust the universe and not try to control everything. I I definitely know that my tendencies for people pleasing often resemble, and because they are, a need for control or a perceived, let me just make that really clear, a perceived need for control. And somewhere along the way in my lifetime, in my unconscious brain, I have grown this perception that in order to be safe, in order to be secure, I need to have control. And let's talk about that for a minute, because that's probably something that a lot of you can relate to. I identify as someone who has my shit together, is reliable, is responsible, is organized. And in a lot of ways, my control works for me. It keeps me, relatively, what's the word? Like consistent, I guess. I wake up, I live a very quote unquote functional life. I meet deadlines, I maintain connections, I take care of myself. A lot of this has to do with certain aspects of control. And I feel relatively secure in like managing myself, managing my own life. And of course, like, I think I've definitely fallen into patterns of like over managing, like maybe being a little bit too rigid in the rules I've created for myself. But the area that I think I've seen the most growth in is no longer, or, getting better at no longer trying to control others or the environment around me. That's a big one. That's a really big one. And I actually hope to have an episode all about relationships, because I have been in a number of relationships, romantic relationships, friendships, even within family dynamics, where I have tried to control others. And I've never seen that as malicious. Like, there hasn't necessarily been a malicious intention, but to gain my sense of safety, to gain my sense of control over my life, my environment, I have tried to change, manipulate, convince others that they need to change their behaviors, their actions, their way of existing in the world to comfort me. So I think, as someone who works in the helping professional, I've had a lot of opportunities to really check myself in that way, because it is exhausting. It's absolutely exhausting to think that I have to use my energy to not only take care of myself and all the things that have, that go along in my own life, but then I also have to do the same for everybody that comes my way, because I think that will lend to my own safety. And I mean, how can we not bring this conversation back to boundaries? That is what it is. And what I mean by that is, like, if I have boundaries for my own life, if I know what I need to feel safe, feel balanced, feel like I'm in the driver's seat of my own life. It's all internal work. Like what I build within my own capacity, within my own structure of living, is what's going to keep me safe. Whether or not there are people all around me living in their own chaos, living in their own way of living. Like, it's actually none of my business. What is my business is what's in my control. And what's in my control is me and how I choose to show up. So I didn't actually think I'd go down that path for as long as I did, but we're in our feels. We're in our self-reflection. And oh man, there's just so many ways you can take that conversation and go, but I think I'll leave that piece where it is right now and allow those reflections to just kind of continue. And who knows, maybe I'll come back to it. But the other piece that I kind of started by talking about this podcast as like the ultimate test for me. And I think I'm ready for that test. But what's kind of funny is like, it's just so, I don't know, cerebral. Like I really don't want to like overanalyze my behavior, like, but here we are. And in promoting this podcast, God, that has been uncomfortable. It's just been uncomfy. Like it's been, again, my people pleasing just like are having a hard time with it. So I guess it's a good time to share kind of like a little bit more about my relationship with social media, and how it ties into my people pleasing. So I really love Instagram. I really love it as a platform for like putting myself out there, sharing vulnerably, building connection. And within that, it's also been a platform that I've like really accessed to explore different creative ventures. And it's now getting to the point where my inner critic is really beginning to flare up. And that inner critic actually has very little to do with how I see myself, because I actually really love like starting new projects and putting new energy out there, creating new Instagram accounts, creating new handles, creating new content. That actually is so exciting and fulfilling to me. But where my inner critic starts to kind of flare up is when I start to think about how others might perceive my fluctuations, my changes, my new ventures, my new projects. And this is what my inner critic sounds like. I'm going to try to really like put myself in my inner critic's shoes. It is saying things like, "Ugh, Corie, another project. Ugh, you're making us follow another account. You are spreading yourself too thin. You can't just find your passion. You can't just find your hobby. You can't just find your purpose. Like, what are you into now? Like, oh, Corie." And it's this very like pessimistic, unsupportive, uninterested persona that I have then cast upon like my friends, my family, my online community. And then I'm afraid to share anything because I've convinced myself that that is what everybody is thinking. And the reality is that no one has given me any of that feedback. That is me reading in between the lines. That's me reading into actually the silence. And that's giving like all of my all of my good intentions, all of my creative energy, all of my enthusiasm, all of my excitement, and it's just like tossing it away. It's just like totally invalidating it. And so in promoting this podcast, I did come onto my stories a few nights ago, and I was just like, listen, I'm a little in my feels about this, and I did a crap job of promoting my podcast, but like, I have a podcast and it's about people pleasing, and I just like embodied this very like sheepish, meek, like embarrassed version of myself, where I was like, oh, here's my podcast. Don't feel like you need to listen to it, because like honestly, you don't need to listen to it. That's like, it's not for people who feel like they have to listen to it. It's for people who want to listen to it, for people who think, oh, maybe that is something that would be interesting or helpful or whatever. Or I just want to support my friend Corie. And after posting those stories, a friend of mine came into my DMs and was like, oh my gosh, like, this is a gift. You're so generous with your creativity. It's like, this is such a great thing that you're sharing. And her message was just so beautiful. And it truly, like, I mean, truly was so unexpected. The perspective was brand new to me. I never in a million years would have thought, oh my gosh, people are seeing me as generous, as having gifts to share. Like, that is so profound to me, because not only was that just like so nice to hear, and it just like really, really gave me some validation and just like energy to continue to move forward, but it also just like really made me see that my inner critic is so freaking loud and so overpowering, and that I've like cast these judgments on myself, and I'm like projecting these fears into my online energy, my online space, my online community. And it's like, I don't know, I guess I kind of think that I'm just trying to be so easy, so palatable, so like, don't bother me. I'm just over here, just not trying to take up too much space. But it's shrinking myself, and I don't know that I've fully figured out the balance of like the right amount of space to take up, because I do believe I am allowed to take up some space, and I just have to be mindful that I'm not overpowering spaces that maybe I just don't need to be in. But when it comes to my own platform with like my own friends, my own family, like people I know, people who are choosing to be there, I think that I need to give myself permission to just take up some space and check in about it, check in with myself. How does it feel? Does it feel like I'm overcompensating? Does it feel like I'm wearing myself, like spreading myself too thin in that space? And I think just a reclaiming of that creative platform, like, it feels really great. It feels great to come up with new ideas. It's very much a part of my process. And like, how will I know what sticks if I don't keep throwing things against the wall? So that is, again, just a good opportunity for me to like not be so hard on myself. And yeah, another thought I had this week was like, I often don't see things through past a certain point. And, I'll get discouraged, or I'll kind of not really put in like, I'll put in the initial work, but I shy away from the maintenance. And I really want to see this podcast through its early days, through its crunchy, like kind of, it's teenage years. I want to see it through its like puberty years of like, it's not perfect. There's not a lot of people listening. I don't have the technology. And to just like let it be. Because like if I don't just let it be, then I have no idea where it will go and what potential it has. And, like not putting any type of pressure on this. I do just really want to be present with it. But like, I don't have too many examples of creative pursuits where I've like gone through it to then look back and be like, look at where I've come from. So it's cool to think that I'm approaching this with a new awareness, a new energy, and it's giving me like so many opportunities to lean into all these lessons, all these opportunities. And we're talking about people pleasing. So it just feels like, yeah, this is where I'm supposed to be. These are the lessons I'm supposed to be learning. And it feels good. It feels liberating is actually the true sensation. So that is where I'll end things today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. If you haven't subscribed, this podcast is yours for the taking. I'm really excited that I'm here, and it would be even more exciting if you were also here. I'd like to be doing this together. And for little snippets, little updates, little sneak peeks, you can find me on Instagram at peoplepleaser.pod. So that's at peoplepleaser, all one word, .pod. So thanks everyone, and I'll catch you on the next episode. Bye.